Welcome, this is GitGudGeeks, or Triple G if you prefer. This is where I let my masochistic side come out, and I try to take on some of the harder games in various different libraries in an effort to, well, suck less at these games overall. The idea is to eventually go through, show you the process that I did to learn how to beat them, and then eventually do a full clear on them with no save states and no tricks, no nothing, just a full, straight clear. During this, I'll be pointing out various different pitfalls, challenges, and areas that I consider particularly brutal or cheap so that you can hopefully follow along and learn a few things about how to beat this game on your own. That said, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome back to GitGudGeeks. Last time, we actually finished Act 2 and defeated the Kung Fu Master. As you can see, he's pretty much exploding right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to proceed into Act 3 and see what kind of trouble we can get into and see if we can't actually manage to complete this game. Now, Act 3, while being a little bit frustrating, is probably, it's the second to worst act. I would actually consider Act 2 a little bit worse than Episode 3. First thing you're going to want to do is to pick up Roadkill again, and then make your way a little bit forward. What's going to happen is, out of these two outcroppings, you're going to see various different enemies pop up. You're going to want to keep yourself to one side of these at all times. It just makes things easier. I've seen people stand between them and allow them to basically do damage to each other. I find that inefficient and a little too risky. So just stick to one side, continue to keep pushing them into each other, and keep them both facing in front of you like you would on almost any beat-up game in existence. Eventually, you're going to persevere by beating all of them down, and you'll be able to proceed into the next panel. Now you're in the second panel. You got two things to do here. You need to beat up this guy, and then you have to deal with that gaping maw thing. Now, once this guy's down, the easiest way to deal with this is to release Roadkill. He will go in, and this critter will try to eat him. Don't worry about Roadkill, just keep punching this thing. You won't take any damage from it, it's an actual enemy, just continue to pound on it. Once it's down, it's going to explode, and it will give you a TNT as an item, and you pick up Roadkill again. Go down to the next panel, and then let's get started here. Now slow this down to about half speed so you can kind of see what I'm doing. I'm moving forward and dropping the TNT and then jumping back out of the way. Make sure not to touch any of the landmines and don't worry about the Kree that's flying in the air. Just deal with the landmines. What you do, then you can start dealing with the Kree and the Mongolia that appears after you blow up all the bombs. Now we've used Roadkill to deal with this particular enemy a lot in the game so far. I'm going to recommend against doing that because she drops an iced tea when you kill her normally. She will not drop it if you use Roadkill. There's also a Super Fist right here on this stage. You can use Roadkill to get it if you so choose. I don't think I picked it up this run, but it is an option if you feel you want it. Now that you're in this next panel, you've got a small puzzle to solve. You need to climb over and push this block down. Don't push it any further down than this next step because you want to flip this switch. That'll give you two items, bomb and a knife. I'm going to go ahead and recommend that you pick up both of these if you use the iced tea. If not, just pick up the bomb. Then push this box over because it's going to kill that guy and break those spikes. Now, here comes the next cool trick. Use Roadkill right here. This opens up a shortcut in the map and puts this stage on easy mode. If you go down, you'll have two items as an option, or you can just go straight down one more time. You have to be careful when you're in here. I ended up like randomly picking up items over and over and over again because it's a thing. If you're not positioned right, it'll like force you to like pick up random items. But you'll notice I've got bombs here and I have one of these new enemies. Now these guys are a total pain in the rear. They will spit things, they will drop bombs on the ground, and they actually hit fairly hard. The only thing you can do is basically try to block, wait for them to come close enough, and then throw a bomb at them if you can. Now, if that doesn't work, what you're going to have to do, like I did, since I had a terrible run this time, is to get back up here and just try to jump kick and punch them to death the best you can. They block a significant amount and they do a solid amount of damage, so it's best if you can use a bomb on them. Then you're going to have to deal with these two guys with the crowbars. You're going to have another bomb. I don't recommend that you use it on them. It's kind of a waste. They're pretty easy to deal with for you at this point. Just continue to whittle them down, and then you'll go into the next panel, and you're almost done with panel 1 of Act 3 already. How easy was that? Okay, so you've got one more enemy to deal with here, and then you have a switch along with a pressure switch on the bottom of it. You need to jump over this without hitting that pressure switch. Now you need to use roadkill, so you need to make sure you have him when you get here. You will flip this switch not 1, but 2 times. This will allow you to jump over both of these posts and complete this panel. Now, okay, assuming you don't get blown up like I did. Like I said, I had a pretty bad run here. That said, you now finished panel 1. Congratulations. Collect your points and proceed forward into the next part of the stage and to the climax of the entire game. And if I can beat this with this little health, so can you. Now, you're going to notice a couple things here, so let's pause. So you may not be able to notice them, but there are landmines here and here. Also, if you die on this stage, roadkill will appear here. Now, you can pick up these items down below, but they're question marks and they may explode, they may not. I'm a little desperate, so I'm likely going to pick one up, but not both because I don't want to die. So you can see I got lucky and got some dynamite and didn't die. I'm not even going to risk the other one because I don't have inventory space, and 2, I don't want to blow up. And also pay attention to the third landmine. Now I'm going to go down because that's the direction I always choose to go. I'm going to open this and notice I'm near death, but I'm not dying. That's because you can't die from beating on objects in this game. That's confirmed. This will always give you an iced tea. I really needed that to salvage this run. Now, I'm going to go left because I find this easier. Now, it is very important to stand exactly where I'm going to stand on here and then kick these. I've run into times where these things just keep popping up and popping up and popping up because you just can't do enough damage to them because they keep dropping back into the hole and it acts like they've been destroyed, but they haven't been. Save yourself some time and stand in the exact spot I'm in and just keep kicking on them. There's about 12 of them. Once they're down, you'll be able to go down into the next area. Once you drop down here, you'll have like a magnet and what's effectively a bomb with no fuse. Now, I made a mistake and jumped into that magnet, which you don't need to do. You need to drop down, kill that little thing, and then basically just punch this magnet a few times and it will drop down. Then you need to drop down, push it up against this pillar, and then flip the switch. That will explode and open the door for you. Now as you go into the next area, you're going to run into the same thing again where you've got a magnet, but this time you need to pull the switch. It'll pick that up and then just leave it alone and drop down. Now here's the next big hint here. Push into these and then shoulder them. You're going to take next to no damage doing this and you'll blow them up. You can also hang from the cable there and kick them, but you're going to eat way too much damage. So I'm going to do that with this next one. And then I'm going to deal with these two guys. These two guys are kind of a pain. They're really hard to deal in here because there's 2 of them. And they tend to want to grapple onto this thing. So just be careful. Take them out one at a time and do your best to not eat a ton of damage like I've been doing. Like I said, bad run is bad. I managed to salvage it, but it's an unpleasant experience all around. Now there's a couple of ways of doing this next section that you can work on. There's going to be about 3 guys that spawn here. He'll spawn one, you'll fight him, he'll spawn another, rinse and repeat. Now, the easiest way I found to do this was to basically just kind of beat on a few of them and get them down and then start throwing them or getting on the other side and kicking them into this piston. That will do a lot of damage to them and then it'll break the piston. And then you just need to finish these guys off. I was really worried about dying here because I had had a really bad run so far. If you're good at throwing, what you can do is you can grab them while they're on the side and just chuck them into that thing and do a lot of damage to it. And it's a little bit easier. I'm really bad at throwing in this game, so I really couldn't execute that. Now I'm also going to use roadkill here because you get a knife in here. That knife is key. You need this knife. Now this next part is kind of a pain in the butt. You have to kill this Kree and then you have to push the box down. You also have to hit that switch, which is why you desperately need that knife. So take your time, be patient, kill this thing, and then push this box down. Now, use the knife to flip the switch. That'll open the door. But you can't go through yet because you have to break this box. This part's bullshit. You don't have to pick up the item, but I did because I was desperate. I was glad I did because it gave me an iced tea, which allowed me to go into the next panel with some semblance of health. Now, you're going to get a bunch of dialogue here as your helper here comes in to try to help you defuse this bomb. And then the boss will spawn. Now, he's going to shove her into this vat, and it's going to start filling with liquid. So if you don't hurry and beat this guy, she'll drown. I don't think you lose if she drowns. It's just kind of nice not to, because she's helped you throughout the game. Now, this boss fight is pretty simple. Just kind of lure him down here, and then try to get him over here near this jet engine, and then flip the switch. You'll notice I struggle with it a little bit. There he goes, and then flip. Now when you do that, it'll spawn one of these little Kree things again. Just ignore those for the most part, and just deal with him. Hit him again. Now what I've found in my experience is no more than 2 of those things spawn, ever. So once you've got 2 of them in play, you can just flip the switch, and you can deal with him. So just keep luring him down like I'm doing. Flip the switch. Flip, 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 flip the... I'm having trouble with the switch. There we go! Alright, and as you keep doing this, it'll take 5, maybe 6 hits, and then he's down. Now, you have to deal with these 2 Kree things in order to finish the game. So you finish those, the switch hits here, and then that's it. You have now beaten Comix Zone. Congratulations. See? Once you understand a few tips, a few tricks, and you practice a little bit, you can beat Comix Zone. It's really not that hard of a game once you understand it. Now, getting the level of expertise to be able to deal with the enemies takes a little bit of time, and it takes a little bit of patience. But if I can do it, you can do it, anybody can do it. Happy gaming, everybody. And look, come back again for the next episode of Get Good Geeks.